We left off having located a pocket of ice, but we're gonna have problems getting it. It's below ground and a simple downward hole isn't gonna work. We're also at a small impasse in construction and needing to find some cobalt. So let's take a look at our obstacles and see if we can overcome the challenges of the game and keep progressing as a space engineer. So here's the issue with the ice. It's about 24 meters down. Now normally I might try to take my hand drill and just dig straight down and hope we can reach the ice. But we're down to our last bit of hydrogen fuel, which means we risk getting down into a hole and not having enough fuel to get back out. 45 units of hydrogen isn't much. It should be enough for a few direct flights up and down the hole, hopefully with some ice in hand, but it would leave no margin for error. What if I ran out of energy and had to recharge several times before reaching the ice? What if just something random happened? So the solution was to dig a spiral hole down to the ice that I'd be able to walk or crawl in and out of without having to use my jetpack. Now, there's probably experienced space engineers out there screaming at the video right now with a better method. But for now, till I can get just a little stockpile of ice and hydrogen, I'm being cautious and doing it this way. Also, as long as I have a winding ramp to get in and out of the hole, I'm carrying whatever rock I dig and dumping it from the inventory out as these big boulders, which is where I ran into a little bit of trouble. When I did finally decide to transfer some of the mined rock into my rover, I accidentally clicked the same dump button and spawned a giant boulder directly under my truck and flipped it over. Yes, again. I'll spare you all the time I spent tinkering around with trying to get it flipped back over, but I was determined that Rover 3.0 would not end up with the same fate as its two predecessors. Basically, it was a combination of digging out one side, spawning the boulders on the other side, and then keeping it propped up with construction blocks until I could get it mostly upright. How do you get out of a jail cell made of cake? Well, one bite at a time. We've just got to get our ground prepped. In the process, we blew out a tire. And with no transportation, like no hydrogen fuel, it's just a long run back to the base to bring back materials to repair the wheel. There's no problem we can't overcome. But we've come to the moment of truth.
This is our most desperate hour.
Don't talk to me about getting my rover stuck ever again. Now, it was back to mining my ice. I have no idea how much ice there really is in a pocket like this, but a couple thousand will go a long way for hydrogen in a jetpack, so there should be plenty here until I probably need to start building aerial craft, which I will do, but I want to get a better handle on the ground vehicles first. While doing this ice mining, I did ponder and think it's probably possible to create a piston or pivot system to self-right the rover if I flipped it over again. I may have to investigate that a bit more. I think these two components will be useful for making a mining rover as well, so I wanted to start experimenting with those to see how they work. With ice in hand, I was able to create some hydrogen bottles and create a nice reserve of hydrogen with plenty of ice to spare, and give my rover a good inspection. After its ordeal, I could have easily had some damaged parts, and this rover was definitely going to be making some more excursions, which was now a hunt for cobalt. I had said that I was trying to create a conveyor system with better storage, and I needed the cobalt. But as long as I was improving all that, I thought, why not try to upgrade to a better refinery and assembler at the same time? After all, it might even be required to refine or create some of the things I'd need soon. So, in looking at the materials, the assembler wasn't too bad. A fair bit of steel plates and items from iron, but pretty doable. The refinery, however, was going to need 1,200 steel plates, along with a ton of other stuff. It was a lot of iron. So this little rover was going to have to live up to the challenge, and I was going to help it with an upgrade to another set of tires. In the last video, I also mentioned the suspension settings, and here you can see there are several parameters to fine-tune your vehicle to suit whatever you need. This feature alone is pretty golden, and from what I've seen, there are other items in the game that will allow a lot of customization and tuning, like the range of my ore scanner. So the engineering aspect of this game goes beyond just building and adds a ton to this game. Having given my Rover a little love, we were off in search for Cobalt. Of course, stopping to grab a satellite and perhaps some special bling as contents. All that was still fair game. I could have probably found Cobalt about anywhere, and I was continually scanning as I went, but I eventually made my way back to the desert where it might be a little bit easier to locate ores. In the desert, these shaded areas are more visible and indicate where there are underground deposits. You can see here things like silver, magnesium, and nickel popping up on my HUD as I drive past these areas. Now, I'm not going to advocate doing this next bit because I see it as a bit of a cheat, but other people have provided it as a tip, so I'm going to tell you about it and let you decide. You can go into your game settings, turn down the grass layer so it basically doesn't show in the game, which allows you to see the shaded areas on the ground when there's grass, similar to what we're seeing here in the desert. Personally, I don't like to circumvent challenges in games by doing things like this, but it's up to you. No judgment. Driving with some caution is definitely the way to go, because you can get into some places that could have a very unpleasant ending. This area ahead looks like a cliff with ravines, and I was going to treat Rover 3.1 with some respect. It wasn't too long out in the desert, checking out the shaded areas, that I found my Cobalt. This time, I wasn't going to have to dig the crazy spiral tunnel like I did for the ice. This time, I had plenty of hydrogen fuel in my jetpack, so I could just dig straight down, get my ore, and fly straight back up. I also decided that at least for now, I didn't have to save any of the sandy topsoil stuff. I could hold the right mouse button rather than the left and dig through the surface without collecting any of the material. Once I started seeing the bluish little cobalt that I wanted, I could start using the left mouse button and collect the cobalt ore, along with whatever other rock it was mixed with. After hand carrying the cobalt and filling my Rover, I took off for home and noticed another very cool physics thing. My Rover handled and accelerated differently now that it was fully loaded from when it was empty. This was something really good to see. Not only did it improve the gameplay execution by having this variable experience, it created that sense of immersion that everything I was doing mattered and pulled me into this world I was trying to survive and build on. Back at home, I started processing the cobalt into ingots and saw immediately that the progress moved much slower than any rock material I'd been refining. This just confirmed what I had decided to work towards, which was the better refinery and assembler, along with a conveyor system. So we'll shore up some of this platform and start the assembler construction. By now, I had nicknamed the Rover 3.1 as the Rock Truck, because I started ferrying all those boulders I had dropped from mining the ice cave back to the base for processing. I was going to need all the iron I could get, especially for that refinery. I was also going to need a good bit more power. That assembler and refinery drew considerably more power, so more wind turbine construction was needed as well. What became clear is that iron and probably some other ores were going to be needed in much greater quantity than I'd be able to effectively refine through rocks and hand mining alone. I was going to need to find some purer deposits and build a proper mining rig, but everything was going about as I had planned.
Everything is proceeding as I have foreseen.
I've also got a winner for the recent giveaway of Eco, sponsored by the good people of DadSpeed. The winner is Schlopsik. To redeem your free Eco game key, send me an email to my business email you'll find at my channel homepage. After that, you should receive your free game key to download your copy of the game. Tune in next time for what I'm envisioning as a major mining vehicle build. to get these needed materials and really get things rolling. Like and subscribe to keep following the playthrough, and I'll see you next time.